So next week, the moment we've all been waiting for is gonna happen. Gonna say, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty freaking excited for... Manga readers, you know what. You know what. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be glorious. It's gonna be, it's gonna bask me in the sun. That's basically what it's gonna do to me, because it's gonna be quality. But, before I get into that, though, we have a new opening song for the second half of Taizai Season 2. Now, to get right into it, the opening kind of spoils some things, not gonna lie. There is some things it spoils. It doesn't spoil, like, everything, but there is some spoilers, and, I mean, if you're a anime only, you're not really going to understand it. Even if I was to kind of even talk about it, you probably wouldn't still even understand the concept of, like, why they're really big spoilers, but there's a couple of things that I do want to mention. Apparently, I didn't actually personally see it, but it was mentioned to me on Twitter. But in the opening of Taizai Season 2, apparently the Archangels are in it, from what I was told. So, yeah. I don't know how to feel about that one, because for the Archangels to be shown in the opening of Taizai Season 2... when I know for a fact that they technically weren't introduced until way off in the future, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, why would they do that? That's just a big question I have. But then they showed this in the opening. Now, I'm not going to give any context to this because manga readers will know, but I'm not going to spoil anything for you anime onlys. But they showed a scene like that in the opening, and I was also thinking, like, we shouldn't be able to get there in the remaining episodes that are left for Taizai, so why would that be shown as well? So, a lot of questions I have. Maybe the reason why they're doing that is to potentially hint at a Season 3. Possibly. I just want to say that there is some things that were foreshadowed at the very least with the opening song, and yeah. Now, in terms of music and visual-wise, gotta say, I like it. The music's good. I actually don't really have a problem with the music. I say it's definitely one of the better opening songs I think we've had of Taizai. And speaking of visual-wise, I want to talk about the fighting going on in the opening. When you see the Sins go up against the Ten Commandments, that entire fight that was going on, just to clarify for you anime onlys, that doesn't technically happen. Like, if it does happen in the anime, that means that it's anime original. But the what you saw in the opening with all the commandments and then the Sins fighting at once with each other, that is not spoiler. So do not worry, that's actually not going to happen. At the very least in that place. So I'm just making sure that everybody's up to speed when it comes to that. So, anyways, let's get into what this episode was about. It's a Bond episode. Oh man, it's a Bond episode. Like, I'm getting to talk about Bond. I'm getting to talk about Bond. Okay, so Bond. He had a full episode focused to himself. Well, there was a little bit that was focused on Fraudrin towards the end, but most of the episode is focused on Bond. And if you're a Bond fan, you're gonna like this episode. Just seeing Bond go in, beat the crap out of Gon and all that, put him in his place. I mean, it was a pretty fun episode. However, I'm not gonna say that this episode was bad, but there was some obvious things that were cut out with this episode. Now, once again, to back up what I just said, I'm not saying this episode's bad. I'm just saying that there was obviously some scenes cut out for Bond's fight with Galan. It was supposed to be a little bit longer. There was supposed to be a lot more blows done to Galan. Like, for instance, Bond was supposed to go in and just literally beat the living crap out of Galan like it was nothing and all that because he sapped his strength away, and it was supposed to be really intense. It was an intense back and forth fight with them for a good bit in the chapter that happened, and most of it was basically cut. It was just like Bond doing 2 hits, and that was basically it. You had, Scylla come in and push his soul out of his chest, and there you go. And so there is some manga readers that are upset with this, and I'm a little bit upset, not gonna lie. I won't even lie about that, I am. But at the same time, they still got the point across to what was going on. Like, it's kind of like this, okay? They could have extended it and made it a lot longer, but they got the main concept and point across to what was going on in that scene. So they didn't technically skip anything like of value, so to say. They just like shortened the fight down. That's all they really did. And so that's kind of why you'll probably see some manga readers a little bit upset with this episode because of that. And like I said, I'm upset with it, but it's not something that degrades this episode because they didn't remove like story elements like that was truly important. It was just action scenes. So yeah, now I know it's a shonen, and I know action scenes are technically important for shonen, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have the story added in than actually the action. Just saying. So, carrying on though, I do want to say that Bond proves why he's pretty strong, but we also get to see his limits and kind of why he does need a power-up. Number one, Bond, he is able to sap the strength of those around him. This has kind of been a concept with Bond we've seen for a while, how he's able to steal people's strength. And Bond steals Galan's strength, which you could see he easily takes over half of Galan's power. Even Galan himself mentions this. And Bond just starts beating the living crap out of him, just putting him down like it's nothing. But at the same time, when you look at how he's hitting Galan, it's not enough to permanently put him down. Because he even states, like, man, the captain must be super strong to dent your face in like that. And, you know, I couldn't even do it. He's like, I was trying to make your face symmetrical. that made me laugh. I'm not even gonna lie, that legit made me laugh. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that again. Just like, I tried to make your face symmetrical, because his face was crunched in by Meliodas. Like, oh, that was great. But, anyways, Bond, he was, showcasing that he was really strong, but he couldn't sap all of Galan's strength, which showed that he had a limit to how much that he could actually take in. So, even though he has a strong ability, he can't just suck up as much strength as he wants. So that means that if there's someone that is truly powerful, Bond can't just take all of their strength, add it to himself, and the man's at zero. It just doesn't work like that. So that's pretty much what Scylla was analyzing when she was talking about Bond. Why don't you do more? Why don't you take more strength and all that? Now, also to clarify a couple things of why Scylla was not affected at all by Bond, was because Scylla, she doesn't ride on strength. Galan is a type of fighter that is all about physical strength. You've seen this already demonstrated in anime only many times with him going after Meliodas and the other sins. He's more of a physical strength fighter. He doesn't really use magic or anything. And so when you see how he looked weakened like that, it's because majority of his power is physical strength. But Scylla, she's not, dependent of her strength. She's dependent of other elements and stuff like that. So it's kind of the equivalent of Merlin. If Bond was to sap Merlin's strength, for instance, her power, it wouldn't really do much to her because she has a lot of magical capabilities. That's kind of the point here of what that was trying to show. Now, I feel like the anime did poorly when it came to explaining that, but that's why I'm addressing it for, you anime only, so you can kind of understand what that scene meant and why she wasn't really, kind of affected by Bond at all, while Galan was just on the ground and couldn't do much at all in the episode. So, anyways, let's talk about Bond's weakness. So, Bond, we know his body is immortal. We know that he doesn't die. He's the undead Bond. However, we do know, in anime only, you do know as well, two different reasons of how Bond could potentially die. Number one, we know Meliodas put the scar on Bond's face. That was because of Meliodas. When he attacked him real hard, it was a permanent mark left on Bond after he was undead, which proves that Bond can be killed, technically, depending on who it is, or at the very least, someone as high level as Meliodas. And seeing how we've seen the Ten Commandments, they're near that level, so just pointing that out. Number two, I also want to mention that even though Bond's body may be immortal, his soul is not. Basically, when you see Scylla rip his soul out of his chest, if his soul would have been eaten right there, Bond would have died, but his body would have remained. It's kind of like he would be just a husk, just a corpse, and that was it, with no soul inside, just a lifeless corpse, just sitting there not being able to do anything. And that kind of shows the weakness of Bond, because the Ten Commandments have already demonstrated that they're able to extract the souls out of others. So, Bond, being someone that's, immortal, this shows that he can't really compete with the Ten Commandments. He may be strong physically, put up a good fight, he may be able to be durable because he can, regen and all that, but it doesn't stop the fact that if they extract his soul and they eat it, he's dead. There's nothing he can do. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So Bon has two crucial weaknesses right now. He can be potentially killed because of what we saw with this episode. Now, that does mean that he doesn't technically have plot armor, and that you shouldn't think that Bon is going to be A-okay in every single fight he's going to get into. So that is kind of what this fight was trying to show, that Bon definitely needs to get stronger as well. He is not safe from death itself. Now, speaking of death itself, let's talk about Elaine. So, Elaine, as we know, she went kind of yandere in, the last episode. She got the black, outfit and all of that. And we also see how she acts very yandere towards Bon. She attacks him, attacks Jericho, and it was kind of obvious that she would act like this because of the previous episode, but she takes out her aggression because she's like, you should only focus on me, and because of how Scylla was manipulating the souls, corrupting them and all that for regret and stuff, it makes sense why she would act like that, and so she wasn't in her right mind. But eventually, she was able to kind of work around it and try to fight back to her normal self towards the beginning of the episode. Now, this is, out of all the scenes, I think, of this episode that manga readers are upset with, I think this is the one that is the most justified, in my personal opinion. In the manga, the way the scene was done with Elaine, Jericho, and Bon, there felt like there was more emotion in that, and it's been a while since I've read this part of the manga. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't remember everything, but it's been a while, but I know for a fact in that scene there was a lot more emotion going on, and the way it was done, I just felt more. But it could be because I've already seen this before, maybe that is why, but I felt like there was more to it, and just the way Elaine was able to, quickly overcome it, I felt like it was a little bit too easy with the way this episode showcased that. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. Now, anyways, despite all of that, though, we also see towards the end of the episode that Fraudrin, he's trying to initiate whatever he's doing, and he's trying to, get more power, souls, and stuff like that. But Denzel's squad is interrupting. And you can see some of these, new characters attacking him and all that. And we get to see one character, individual, that attacks Fraudrin and puts him under her control. And that's how her magic ability works. For instance, if you feel any affection towards her, she controls you completely. For instance, you will do her a bidding, and you will be basically her slave. You'll take damage and all of that, which is kind of fitting and ironic when you think about what Fraudrin is in the first place. He stole, Dreyfus's body in the first place, so it's kind of like a body snatcher just got his body snatched. So that's the how it makes this scene very ironic, that he, as the manipulator and controller of another man's body, is now being controlled. So that's just what I want to point out. Now, that's basically what the episode is really about. That's pretty much the entire concept. It's a good episode, and I can't wait to see next week, because it is confirmed that it's gonna have our boy the Sun. So it's gonna be great. I really hope the reason why they kind of cheaped out on this episode is because the production team wanted to focus on the next episode. I really do hope that is the case. I hope it wasn't because they're having production problems in general, but we'll see where it goes. We'll see how the episode is done, because, many fans have been real, excited to see this, and I think that, the team working on Taizai is very aware of how the fans love, the upcoming events, so I do hope they do it justice. But anyways, with that, I want to leave it at that. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Chibi out.